Why did PK Subban strike down Brad Marchand? The answer is simple. Brad Marchand is undoubtedly one of the most polarizing figures in the NHL. Fans admire his charismatic and fearless style, while critics often condemn his dirty tactics and cheap shots on the ice. His antics have earned him the dubious distinction of holding the record for the most individual suspensions in league history. Despite his reputation, Marchand rarely finds himself on the receiving end of big hits. But one unforgettable moment changed that narrative. During a heated matchup against the Montreal Canadiens, PK Subban delivered a thunderous open ice hit that sent Marchand flying. The perfectly clean and powerful collision instantly went viral, with fans across the hockey world celebrating Subban's epic takedown. The impact was so severe that Marchand had to miss 3 games due to an undisclosed injury. From that point on, the rivalry between the two players became even more intense, with verbal exchanges and relentless hits continuing for the remainder of the season. During the 1994 playoffs, Churla was given a specific mission: take out the Vancouver Canucks' superstar, Pavel Bure. For Bure, the game turned into a constant battle. Churla targeted him at every opportunity, slashing his hands, slamming him into the boards, and hooking him with his stick. When Churla collided with him one more time, he couldn't have predicted what would happen next. Moments later, Bure struck back in a way that everyone would remember.
Churla again, this time he's bumped by Balance.
After the confrontation, both Churla and the Dallas Stars backed off their relentless targeting of him. Other teams got the message loud and clear: Pavel could defend himself and wouldn't tolerate being pushed around. In the first game of the series, the Rangers forward collided with Canadiens goalie Carey Price at high speed. This incident worked in the Rangers' favor, as Price sustained a serious leg injury, forcing him to miss the remainder of the playoffs, significantly affecting Montreal's chances. The following season, Price retaliated. When Kreider was near his net, the goalie shoved him as if to say, "That's for last time." Why did Scott Stevens strike down Paul Kariya? The answer is simple. In the Stanley Cup Finals, the tension was at its peak, and Scott Stevens, captain of the New Jersey Devils, was ready to do whatever it took to win. In the middle of the game, Anaheim Ducks captain Paul Kariya, speeding down the ice, found himself in the path of a freight train named Scott Stevens. The Devils leader delivered a crushing blow, catching Kariya with his head down. The elbow strike was so powerful that Paul collapsed to the ice, seemingly unconscious. For several minutes, he lay motionless, and the entire arena held its breath. Medical staff and teammates rushed to his aid, escorting Kariya off the ice and into the locker room. It seemed certain that his night, if not his season, was over. But true heroes don't give up so easily. Just a few minutes later, to the shock of the crowd and even Stevens himself, Kariya returned to the ice. And he wasn't just there to finish the game, he was there to change it and lead his team to victory. Zadorov has made it clear that he will not tolerate disrespect. Jace Gavrilyuk, the forward for the Panthers, is notorious for his knack for provoking opponents and playing on the edge. But his attempt to get under the skin of Colorado Avalanche defenseman Nikita Zadorov turned into a disastrous decision. What started as a verbal skirmish, with exchanges like, "Who do you think you are?" escalated dramatically in the third period. Zadorov's patience wore thin, and he delivered a textbook body check at the blue line. The hit was so powerful that Gavrilyuk went flying, hitting the boards and clutching his shoulder in pain. The impact was enough to send Gavrilyuk straight to the locker room, ending his night prematurely. Before heading off himself, Zadorov made sure to send a clear message to the Panthers bench. Messing with him is not a smart move. This was a hard lesson, Gavrilyuk. In the match against Pittsburgh, Alexander Ovechkin proved that he is not only a great sniper, but also knows how to respond to provocation. During the third period, Penguins defenseman Chris Letang was hit on the leg by Ovechkin's stick and had to leave the ice. This did not go unnoticed. Forward Chris Kunitz immediately tried to provoke Ovechkin into a fight, pushing him in the chest and challenging him to a fight. Alexander kept his composure and responded only with a smile. However, Ovi did not leave this episode unnoticed. A few seconds later, in the same shift, Ovechkin answered Kunitz with a powerful power play, reminding him that he does not leave challenges unanswered. This fan mocked a hockey player, but what happened next shocked everyone. The NHL is never boring, especially when fans don't just watch the game, but become a part of it. Chicago Blackhawks forward Steve Sullivan takes a painful stick to the face from a Colorado Avalanche player. The result? A cut on his nose and blood dripping down. As he skates to the bench, pressing a towel to his face, he notices something unusual. A fan sitting in the front row is laughing and openly mocking his injury. Maybe he thought it was funny, but fate had other plans. In the second period, Avalanche goalie flips the puck into the stands. And guess who it hits? That same fan who had been laughing at Sullivan. Sullivan couldn't let this golden opportunity slip by. Seeing his injured heckler, he immediately mocked him back, imitating his earlier laughter. The crowd erupted with laughter, and the fan's girlfriend, her reaction was absolutely priceless. Alexander Ovechkin is not one to stand down when faced with injustice on the ice. During the 2017 Stanley Cup playoffs, he clashed with one of the NHL's most controversial players, Kadri, known for his aggressive tactics. In the intense series between Washington and Toronto, Kadri targeted Ovechkin as part of Toronto's strategy to neutralize the Capitals' star. Late in the first period, Kadri crossed the line with a heavy hit that left Ovechkin on the ice, requiring help to exit the rink. Despite the severity of the incident, Kadri was handed only a minor penalty, sparking outrage among fans. After the game, Kadri admitted he hadn't intended to cause serious harm, but was disappointed that Ovechkin managed to return to the ice. However, Ovechkin didn't just return, he delivered his own response. In the second period, he delivered a discreet yet effective hit on Kadri, escaping the referee's notice. While not Ovechkin's proudest moment, it was a clear message that dirty play would not go unanswered. What happens when two of the most hated players in the NHL face off? Marchand and Cooke are often compared to one another. While Marchand has more offensive skill, both are considered among the biggest agitators in the game. But when they went head-to-head, Brad Marchand proved he was the ultimate pest. In the first period, Matt tried to provoke Brad, and the two nearly dropped the gloves. But instead of fighting, Marchand found a better way to humiliate his opponent. Just moments later, he scored a goal and, without even raising his arms in celebration, skated straight up to Matt, just to mock him.
1926 as Marchand shoots and scores! Welcome to the game, Marc-Andre Fleury, and just...
Angering someone chasing Gretzky's record isn't the smartest move, and the Montreal players learned that the hard way. In 2008, Alexander Ovechkin endured a match filled with blows. He got hit in the face with a stick, struck by a puck, and, to top it off, broke his nose in the third period. It was Montreal defenseman Francis Bouillon who delivered a crushing hit to Ovi at the blue line. For many players, such injuries would have spelled the end of the game, but not for Alexander the Great. The medical team stitched him up right on the bench, without even heading to the locker room. After returning to the ice, the Capitals captain began demolishing his opponents with powerful hits and goals.
Tampa, as Ovechkin drives in, he scores! Ovechkin throws his third, Ovechkin full throttle, fires and scores!
Fueled by rage, Ovechkin went on to score 4 goals. Darcy Tucker, one of the NHL's most notorious villains, playing dirty was part of his job, demanded by the game and his coaches. In the second game between Montreal and Toronto, where the teams fiercely fought for a playoff spot, Tucker stuck to his usual antics. Just a few minutes before the final whistle, he skated past Kovalev and brazenly threw a fist in his face. The referees decided to turn a blind eye, but Kovalev wasn't about to let it slide. Taking justice into his own hands, or rather his skates, Kovalev grabbed the puck and circled through the offensive zone. But scoring wasn't on his mind. At full speed, he headed straight for Tucker, pretending to lose the puck, and slammed into him so hard that Tucker hit the ice like a sack of bricks.
And comes to the net, and he ran into...
The impact was devastating. Tucker was humiliated, and Kovalev sent a clear message to everyone: don't mess with him.